Hi guys, I hope that you are having a good time. Today we are gonna learn the basic steps of troubleshooting a computer. It could be the OS, the operating system, or it also can be applied for the hardware. Okay, basic elements or the objective for this small virtual class is to learn the basic steps to troubleshoot, to understand, to advise and to basically speak with your customer and give them a proper answer. I know that you already know how to do the troubleshooting process in Spanish, so the goal today is that you learn the basic steps in English and you can, after this, translate the process from Spanish to English, okay? So, but before that, we need to understand the basic steps, elements that you need to do before having a solution. The first element is this. The first step in the troubleshooting process is to identify the problem. How can we identify the problem? Elements that we can do is to ask the customer what is the real problem, what is really happening. Yes, so because a really basic element that I want to tell you guys is that the operating system problems can result from a combination of hardware, software, and network issues. See? So it does sometimes we tend to have the idea that if the screen doesn't turn on, it's just a problem with the cords, but it can also a problem related to a virus. It could be a problem related to specific driver, firmware for the screen. So you need to realize, you need to understand, and you need to gather information. So the basic step or the first step is to identify the problem. So two element that you need to do is to talk to your customer, to ask the customer what is happening, and number two, just check hardware, software, and network. Okay, so we can see here on this small box the common causes of operation system problems. This is I'm not gonna read all of them, but at the end, basically, if you see this, it's because it talks about problems with the software. For instance, just to give you an example, it doesn't the operating system doesn't work because there's an incorrect settings in the BIOS or the incorrect monitor settings in the control panel, that the reason why it doesn't turn on properly, or it just you can see anything. The password has changed, that the reason why you are not able to access. For instance, you have any virus, or basically you drop the computer and you have a hard drive failure. So that could be the first thing, but this information you will gather with checking, seeing all the hardware, software, and network elements, and also to ask your customer what is the main problem that he or she is facing. So step number one is identify the problem. Yes. The second is to establish a theory or probable cases. Okay, you can see here you need okay, so after you know the problem, then you will lead to a theory. Okay, if this computer is not turning on the screen, is because this and this. So basically, after you identify specific or some theories about a specific problem, so you can start making a research about this problem. And with this research, you can gather enough information in order to start to start doing some process to fix, because the troubleshooting process starts with the questions. Okay, if a quick procedure does not correct the problem, you need to research the problem further to establish the exact cause. Sometimes, for instance, like I said, the screen doesn't turn on, and the first thing that you will check is the cable. You will connect and disconnect, unplug or unplug, and then you will see. This is a quick procedure. If you see that it works, then everything is solved. And if it doesn't correct the problem, then you need to make more research. Okay, we can see in this small checkbox that you have the after what happened, after you make the theory, after you create the theory, what will be the possible causes. Then the step number 3 is to test the theory to determine the cause. So okay, I cannot I cannot access to the user information. Just logging in as a different user, for instance. Use a third-party diagnostic software, so you can see if there's a big problem, there's a malware. For instance, a third-party diagnostic software could be an antivirus. Okay, I'm not able to find my documents, but I didn't erase them. So you just run as an antivirus, and you realize that the problem is not that you lost the documents, it's just that there's a specific virus that is hiding your documents. So then you just try to work with a virus problem. Yeah. For instance, you cannot use the speakers on your computer, and your customer told you that basically it doesn't work. So you understand that there are basic there you create a theory. Theory number 1 is not plugged in correctly. Number 2, the core of the speaker is broken. Or number 3, maybe you lost the firmware. You lost the software that helps to connect the speaker. So then you just realize that the core is good. There is no problem, the core is not broken, and then you realize that maybe it could be a problem with the firmware. It could be a problem with the software that you have. Maybe the customer updated the software, the firmware for the speakers, or maybe he deleted incorrectly. He uninstalled the application, and that is the reason why he couldn't use his or her speaker. So you need to test the theory that you found based on the information that you have from the customer. That is step number 3. Then, after you determine the exact cause of the problem, establish a plan of action to resolve the problem. So number 1, identify the problem. Number 2, create the theory about the problem, the possible cause. Step number 3, run the theory or test the theory that you have. Step number 4, just create a plan of action. So in this case, like it says here, establish a plan of action to resolve the problem and implement the solution. So basically, you know the information from the customer, you create a theory how this problem happened, then you test the theory. You realize that there is a problem with a virus. You establish a plan of action, so you're gonna use your antivirus to eliminate the virus, and that's it. For instance, you can see the device manual. You see that there is a problem with the configuration of the screen. So it's not a problem with a virus, not a problem with the core. Maybe it's a problem with a specific setting. So basically, you go to the device manual and you just check the basic troubleshooting process to solve or to get a solution. For instance, if you don't have any information, sometimes we have this information. How to make my computer faster? Okay, I can go to an online forum, an internet search, a news group, in order to have some ideas on how to improve the speed of your computer. That's another example. So you need to plan an action. For instance, you can, if you don't know how to make it, you can research, and then you can process. You can run a theory, process the theory, and see if it's solved. After you have corrected the problem, verify full system functionality, and if applicable, implement preventive measures. For instance, you realize that it was a virus, and you just delete the virus. So you run the computer, you run a test if in order to check or double check that your computer doesn't have the problem anymore. And the basic element that you do after you make a troubleshooting process to shut down the computer and restart it in order to make sure that all the applications are running properly, the network are working properly, etc., etc. And that's how you can do. Okay, so step number 5, verify full system functionality, and if applicable, implement preventive measures. And the last step is that you need to document your information, your findings, your actions, and your outcomes. Okay, why is it important? Because, for instance, in a future problems, in a future situations, if the customer needs more specific assistance, and you go with the same person, you can have this documentation of the actions that you already did in the computer before, in order to avoid them, or in order to know that probably what could be the cause, or to uh, eliminate. For instance, like, okay, the computer didn't have an antivirus, but the problem is having another type of problem. So probably it's not going to be a virus. Probably it's going to be another, like, a problem with an update software or something, or maybe the customer probably deleted uh, um, the firmware for a specific document or the specific device. So that's why you need to do that. And you need to provide the customer with all the paperwork, with all the information that you gather. Discuss the solution implemented with the customer. Just tell them what you did. It's important that you say, like, I changed this, I modified this, I installed this, I upgraded this, etc., etc. And the customer has to verify that the problem has been solved. So after you restart the computer, just tell the customer to use the computer to check that everything is correct. Because if you just do it by yourself, probably the customer can say, like, hey, you never told me that the problem had been solved. Like, you need to tell the customer, can you try to use your computer and see if everything is working properly? And that's it. Okay, so this is basically the elements of troubleshooting a computer. And basically, in order to remember, step number 1, just gather information, just find what's the problem. Step number 1. The step number 2, so you can see that is establish a theory or probable cause. You create a cause, a reason why. Oh, this happened because of this. Then step number 3, test the theory to determine cause. Step number 4, establish a plan of action to solve the problem. Step number 5, verify full system functionality after you solve the problem. See if it works. And if applicable, implement preventive measures, for instance, an antivirus. Or you can hide important files so the customer don't touch them or don't open them. Step number 6, document findings, actions, and outcomes. You need to document all information, just to write the information and give the information, and educate the customer about what the actions you did. And that will be the 6 steps to troubleshoot a computer. It could be applicable for hardware or software.